about it. Fathers matter. That's exactly what we call it. And so as we begin today, I'm really, really so excited. I was just sharing my story earlier on about how I have always had daddy issues. And it's only in my adulthood years that my life really took a bit of a turn. And so today, we are focusing on a topic, father's involvement in the early years and why it's so important. And, what are the benefits of having a daddy, in the early childhood development stage? You might think, oh, they're still too young. They don't understand much. You've got a lot to learn. And so today I am joined by Pastor Fikile Poka. I needed to make sure that I pronounce it perfectly because I think I was too quick to be related there. Pastor Fikile, good afternoon and welcome to Radio Pulpit.
Good afternoon, Lukho. What a wonderful moment it is for me to be at Radio Pulpit this evening. I am delighted to have a full circle. The last time I was here, it's 22 years ago.
You made me actually feel so young because I'm like 22 years ago. What was I doing? I think 22 years ago I was only 11, actually. I was 11, imagine.
So you are young enough to call me mommy.
Mom. Of course. Mum Fikile. Doesn't that make you feel old?
No, because of the role I assume in the community.
Oh.
In fact, you'll be happy to know that I started being called Mam Fikile very early in life before I even had kids of my own. And the interesting part was when one senior lady in our church called me on the side and she said, Mam Fikile, my baby. So she emphasized that though she's calling me Mam Fikile,
but you're still her baby.
And she says, I want you to understand that we do not call you mama because we are saying you are old, but we recognize the calling of God in your life to nurture us as a church. And you know what? From then on, I carried the mama title with such pride.
I love that. I love that. You're not one of the yeah. Okay, I still have that moment because I'm just like, I'm too young. Don't call me mama. I've got kids, but imagine. So guys, without wasting my Fikile's time, like I said to you today, we're talking about father involvement in the early years and why it's important and what are the benefits. And she's coming from Heartlines. Now, if you don't know who Heartlines is an NGO that uses the power of story to address social issues to inspire positive behavior change. Fathers Matter is an initiative of Heartlines that seeks to promote the active positive presence of fathers and father figures in the lives of children. Now, Mam Fikile, today we're focusing on the first years of a child's life, like I said. Correct. Why is it so important for a father to be involved at this time?
Sure, Lukho. It is extremely important to have both mother and father from conception. In any case, we know that there can never be a child without both parties, right?
Of course.
But the problem is that oftentimes we find that the fathers disappear or take a back seat once the child is born, especially during early years, because they think, I can't talk to this person.
Exactly.
But let me just highlight that fathers are important first as providers, which is what we look at mostly, but not just providers of tangibles, but providers of love, providers of support, and interest in unique ways, that benefit the child's development. So in early childhood development, we talk about holistic development.
Okay.
And that holistic development includes physically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, all facets of a human being that need development. This is what the focus should be on early years. Okay. Now, if it's only mommy or only females, the maternals, that are attending to the child only and without the masculine side of a human being, then in essence we could safely say that we are creating an imbalanced child.
Of course.
And, let's talk about emotional development. Fathers can help children develop emotional security.
All right.
And higher esteem at that. You must see a child who has a mother who's fully there, but the father is not. And then have the other child who has father and mother and both are involved, the confidence is not the same.
True, true.
Go to a crèche, an early childhood development center today, and listen to the children talk about their fathers. You see them beaming with pride that ubabami, and they then portray this thing that I'm an untouchable because my father is present.
It's true.
And also physically, when fathers get to engage with their children and play, physically that child has a better chance to develop a stronger physique than a child that's only handled by mommy. No offense to us mothers.
Yeah, and it doesn't speak of our weakness in any way.
Not a chance. It's not a comparison, but it's stating and emphasizing that fathers matter.
You know, as you're sharing this, I'm reminded a couple of months ago, I was back in the Eastern Cape, and my twin brother's son, who's 3 years old, for some odd reason, papa, and I was like, you guys need to get his teeth attended to because he had bad teeth in the front. He's 3 years. I mean, it took him to a day operation apparently because the dentists were like, we need to extract these teeth. And the mom always tells a story of how when he woke up, and it's a boy, we always think this is a girl thing. We always associate daddy, girls with daddy's girl. The first thing Yakumtu said when he woke up, he said, put that down. Where's my dad?
Yes,
That's the first thing he asked because the dad was in the bathroom.
Because dad is my protector at this point and I need him to affirm me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. So dads really matter.
Very
now,
much
you
so.
mentioned that fathers can help their children with their early learning. Please tell us more.
So in early childhood, the focus is mostly on development than it is educationally. But as they progress, then the education part takes center stage.
All right.
And there, children have that thing, that confidence that they have more on fathers, that if my father teaches me this, then I've got this going.
Yeah.
Now, let me correct this before my sisters get offended and want to justify why this child doesn't have a male figure or a father figure. You'll realize that the tagline for Fathers Matter, we are saying we are promoting the active, positive presence of fathers in the lives of children. And we are not saying in the lives of their children. So we are not only just encouraging biological fathers to be there.
Oh, wow.
Here we are saying there's an uncle, step up and be a present father figure to the child. There is what we call in our communities a stepfather.
Yeah.
You know how I explain a stepfather? It is a father who has stepped up to take responsibility in the upbringing of a child. There are, at Heartlines, we call them social fathers. There are pastors, there are sports coaches, there are teachers that can play that role of a father in the life of a child. Now let's go back to your question. The importance of a father in the life of a child in development and education, if I may add, is that there are certain things that are better taught by men to children than women can.
True.
Right? Let's talk physically. Teaching a child to use a bike, to ride a bike.
Dads usually do a better job.
Yeah, because yabona mina Lukho, I'll be saying, yo, mtanami, ungawi.
Exactly.
Oh, be careful. Watch for that.
Yeah.
And daddy just says, go. Just go, okay?
True.
Physically, if physique yomntwana, when a child plays with the father, there's a difference than when I play with the child as a mother. You know this practice of a father raising and throwing the child up and catching them.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we women cringe to that and we think the child might get hurt. But do you know that as the child lands on that father's hands, the body and the bones get used to something more stronger that will allow this child to even be more strong and structured. They don't get hurt easily.
Oh.
There is a difference between a child that experienced the hands of a father or a father figure.
Rougher hands.
The tumbling. And then they teach them other things that if we were to teach as women, we might not be as successful. It hurts an ouch for us, but let's deal with it. Fathers matter.
Yeah. As you're actually saying that, so I've got 16-month-old twins. And
Congratulations.
and one of them, for some odd reason, weird enough, she's the crybaby. Whenever my husband would hold her on her feet and her head looking downwards, she'd always laugh. That's Kiamuhit. But I would look at this, and you could see she would love to also be part of this game.
Right.
But as soon as my husband does it, she cries. And I actually picked up that as much as we've always seen her as the braver one, she is not one to take risks.
Correct.
But then we noticed that with time, she would see that nothing happens to Kia.
Right.
So now she actually gives her daddy the feet to actually do it.
Yes, yes.
So they really adjust and they learn to trust more as well.
Exactly. The building of trust. The confidence that this one I can take to war. Mommy, we can go do softer things. So with time, children know that if I want to engage in this, the best person could be uncle, could be daddy, could be my sports coach.
Yeah.
And as a result, in fact, let me tell you this. I experienced this. So one year we were on vacation. And as you can imagine, Shemo black girl was Soweto on the sand, and I'm just watching and calling, "Hey, come back, not too far."
Of course.
And my husband was there with the children, and
But you're still calling out for the kids
I'm
to come
calling
back.
them to come back. And then after, in the evening when we're just recalling how the day went, and so he says to me, "Did you notice what happened when we were at the beach?" Ngithi, what exactly? He says, "Did you see that most of the children that were with their mummies were playing more along the shore? But the ones that were there with their fathers, they were brave enough to get into the waters and even
Sure.
go a little deeper."
So there's a sense of safety and protection that daddy brings with him.
Correct. A lot of confidence that daddy brings with it.
I'm actually just, I was listening to you earlier on talking about how, we always have this defense to say, daddy just didn't show up. And how you guys are actually calling out on the men in these children's lives to actually take that role, and I think it's so important to emphasize that, yes, you can be an uncle, but you can play a fatherly role.
Correct.
Growing up, my mom comes from a family of 8, and I always picked up, Wuti, it was only 2 of her sisters, herself and her sister, whose children had their dads because our parents were married. But of the other sisters, there's like 6 girls, by the way. Of the other sisters, they were single moms.
Sure.
And they were always taught, now that you're talking about it, that your dad is your uncle. Your dad is your uncle. And I
That's
think
true.
while we're at that, I think it really is just a kind call. We're not forcing you to say, uncles, you've been deemed to be a dad.
True.
Play that role.
Yes. And in fact, at this point, I want to sound a vuvuzela to all those uncles, the brothers, the partners of
The mom.
the moms that are really there playing the role.
Yeah.
I know some men step into it with fear and hesitation to
Yeah.
say, once this child is older, they might
Run back to daddy.
run to their biological dad. But I always say to that father that is present, that father figure, you are investing in this child's life. As and when they decide to go to their father, which I don't see anything necessarily wrong with that, you would have played your role.
Yeah.
And you would have contributed in the well-being of this young person. So go ahead and not hesitate. Do it with all you've got.
Don't you think, Ma'am Fikile, sometimes I think we overthink the roles we need to play in children's lives, really? I mean, even us as women. I was just watching Traditional Wedding the other day on TV, and this lady was sharing how her dad passed away when she was only 9, I think. And 3 years later, the mom remarried. And fortunately, her dad's family actually released the mom and said, our son would have probably done the same thing. He would have probably remarried. And
Correct.
so we give you our blessing, go and remarry.
Wonderful.
And the beautiful thing about it was that now she's getting married and her dad's family's there.
Awesome.
her stepdad's family is also there.
Awesome.
When they came to Lobola, they went to I think my Lula family, who was the stepdad, actually. And everybody respected that. And for me, as I watched that thing and thinking about us actually coming into the show today, I was like, whew, when we are all open-minded about this and not
Yes.
fighting, we understand that it's about the child.
It is
It's not about
the
us.
child. Correct. Yeah.
Because this man stepped up.
Yeah.
And she never forgot her dad's family, but it was a matter of saying, when my dad was no more, this man showed up and played this role graciously.
Beautiful.
Sure.
And blessings to that man too.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Can imagine also him parenting her and thinking, this person still has a relationship with the dad's side, but it doesn't matter. I'm the dad that's here right now.
And here's the truth. The presence of the current father does not do away with the fact that this child had a father or has a family outside of him.
Exactly.
In fact, the mother has done well to introduce this child to both sides, to say, this is what it is, and this is how things will go. The child will thank them later in life to actually even be in touch with, this is what life can be sometimes.
Yeah.
It does not negate the fact that he had a biological father.
Exactly.
In fact, somebody might say this one is a better case because the biological father is deceased. Now imagine in the case where father and mother never got married, and later the mother gets married and steps up to raise this child. There is no need, none whatsoever, that this family should hide the fact that is your father.
Exactly.
Because let me tell you, if you as a mother particularly don't bring that information yourself to your child, there's a neighbor, there's a friend, there's a family member that's going to break it in a way that will crush you and actually tamper with trust between you and your child.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know what we say about trust? Trust is like a mirror. Once broken, it can be fixed.
Eish.
But the cracks will always show.
They'll always show.
So the trust upon this child will always be tempered with that my mother hid it from me, that this is my biological father. He would not even want to have me involved in his life. And let me tell you one of the reasons why such issues are a problem. You know, when a couple has gone separate ways, but there's a child, and they use this child to batter on each other, bashayane ngomntwana. The problem is that it is not them as adults that receive the biggest hurt and the
Exactly.
damage. It is the child. Think about it this way. Umuthatha uswazi or ibhandi ushaya umntwana. Each time you use that belt or that stick, it deteriorates,
Okay. Okay.
disfragment.
All right.
Ya fufureha ka Sesotho.
Yeah.
Jwale imagine o nka ngwana o shapa ntate wa hae ka yena. Ho tlo etsahalang ka ngwana o? Emotionally, this child is receiving some damage. Whether you knew about it or not,
Exactly.
you are creating a wreck out of this child.
Sure. Actually, as we need to go to the next question, but I'm actually thinking as you are speaking about this, I think we really need to call mummies out for trying also to overcompensate and trying to make up, because I was actually reading a post where a lady was talking about how she would never make space for the dad. And ladies were like, yeah, actually, somebody had written a post to say, no matter the dynamics, even if you're fighting about these financials, make sure that you give the child a platform to have a relationship with the dad.
Correct.
And this lady shared it and said, this is easier on paper than it is practically. And I thought she might have a point, but be that as it may, the truth needs to prevail.
True.
And, the ladies were commenting under that to say, I don't even feel bad. He's never going to see my child. And I thought, why? Because you're hurt? What about
Correct.
the child?
Correct.
Why, like exactly you're saying.
Yeah.
Why are we fighting using the child ultimately? Because
Yeah.
whether this man has hurt me and it's difficult to face him again, the fact is there is my child who still needs a father.
That is so true. Let me tell you another element to that, added to that. That is more on the economical side. But our culture plays a huge role in the absence of fathers in our communities today.
True.
Culture in what way? So let's talk about a family where both husband and wife are there, right?
Okay.
Mother and father are there. Unfortunately, there are these practices that we keep on carrying without really knowing how much of a damage they create. So you have your children, or you have a child, or in your case, yes, you have your twins, and then you are told, "Kwamele uye ekhaya balo bayasitswetsi."
What that means?
Kumele uye ekhaya ngoba umdlezane.
Oh, because I'm a new mommy.
Yes, you are a new
yes.
mommy. So your maternals, women in your family, should be taking care of you.
Yes.
And then you sometimes get families that will say the father is not allowed to get into the room where there's a newborn.
Yes.
What we do not understand about that practice is that you are creating a gap already and a space. Because remember, when the mommy was pregnant and assuming that they were staying together with the father,
Yes.
this child was used to hearing this voice as one of the key voices
Okay.
in their lives. Now, all of a sudden, this voice is gone. And some men may have been singing whenever they meet with the woman, or whenever, and touching the belly.
Brushing the belly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you tell me I must go and be with my mother for 3 months and the father can't have easy access?
And it's, that special, first days of bonding with the child.
Right.
So he misses out on those.
He misses out on that. Now, there's also now the other side of culture. This girl is not married to this guy.
Yeah.
And then what do we say? Intlawulo. Intlawulo is
Damage, by the way,
yes,
guys. It's damages.
Yes, damages. So what we are essentially saying is that Fagima luzobona. If you don't have money,
Then you're not
to
going to have
pay
access.
intlawulo, you won't have access. And so we are, as a result, creating a culture of ATM fathers. If you don't have money,
So it's introduced by my parents to begin with, to
Yes.
say, he's not going to see his child until he's paid.
and guess who enforces that? Oftentimes, it's not our fathers. It's the women.
us.
We become gatekeepers to these cultures. Esingazi ukuthi zikhulunywa ubani. And oftentimes, cultures, if we go back, they were discussed by men, where men would meet
Yeah.
and discuss these. But that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Who enforces it? Umama.
We do.
In fact, let me refer you to one of our films. So, Fathers Matter have 6 films.
Okay.
And one of them, Family Portrait, portrays a story of a young man who impregnates a woman. And this young man happens to be an artist. So money is not easily available.
Of course.
And the mother was saying, you are coming to see this child with what?
With what? But why should I bring possessions to
Right?
see my child?
Because we've monetized almost everything, including the very lobola. Abantu abasha baze bawele esonweni because akakabi nemali yelobola. Sure. Good stuff.
Deep stuff.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the father's role as the one who disciplines, and now you're bringing the idea that he should also play with his children. How does that work? It's disciplining and being playful at the same time. How does one strike that balance?
In fact, a child deserves to know all facets of their parents and their families. It is a bad thing that label fathers as the one that are going to discipline you.
Yes.
So daddy eventually carries
A monster.
a monster
Look.
mask with him. That these children in the house feel that he's unapproachable. They can't be free. They can't relax with him. So what we are saying at Heartlines, particularly the Fathers Matter program, is that fathers need to be there wholeheartedly and holistically.
Okay.
This child must know you as a lover, as a supporter, as a scout
Okay.
for opportunities, as a safe space. Now, we are raising 2 teenage girls
Okay.
and a preteen. The preteen is a boy, and the 2 teenagers are girls. Lukho, it is such a beautiful thing and healing, for that matter, to me,
Okay.
to see my teenage girls being confident to talk to their father about girl stuff, things
Okay.
that I would frown at first. Now, I I
And
had
they
to be
don't even
strong.
speak to you about. They're
No,
taking it to daddy.
daddy comes with sanitary towels, and I'm thinking, why? He said, no, I got a WhatsApp message. The girls asking Batapeli. Like, at first, I used to freak out. How do
Yeah.
you talk to your father, Nkona? But what I have learned is that they have found a safe space in him too.
Mm.
They have found it easy to
To
relate
open
to.
up.
Now here's the one
Exactly.
that's quite recent that made me laugh also. I chuckled at this. Our eldest daughter goes to the supermarket. We all went but decided to get to another shop. Then when we come back, she says, "Oh, daddy, I met some guy who insisted on getting my numbers, and I kept on saying, no, I'm a child. And he insisted.
Okay.
So I gave him your numbers. Don't be
Oh,
surprised if." And for me, I thought this is beautiful because I did not experience
yeah.
this as a child.
Wow.
And experiencing my husband being an active, positive father in the lives of our children, it's healing me as well,
I can
who never had
imagine.
that experience.
Sure.
So, fathers,
Yeah.
gentlemen, step up.
You
Even the very
matter.
women, the older women, need that healing, unfortunately, from you as well.
Mm. And I think also we must not make this mistake as mommies to think we can be everything. You know that
Mm.
common joke, with Father's Day,
Yeah,
and everybody posts, "My mommy's played the father role," and I think it comes from a broken place if you think about it, because
correct.
I did not have a dad, and truly the only figure I've ever known is my mom. So
I relate.
let's be honest, it does make sense to say my mom did play that father role.
True.
But if you look at the vacancies in my life, and this includes me, if you look at the certain areas in my life that are not fully developed, as you'd said, you can actually attest to the fact that it was because of the absence
Yeah,
of the father. You
that's
know,
true.
it's not wrong for the child to feel like mommy played that role, but the reality speaks against that.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes we really need to take that away as women to say, "I know I can do it." There's an influencer lady, a single mom in Cape Town, does beautiful content with her daughter. At one of these days, she films herself and she says, "I'm so broken. I've always thought and I felt I was doing right," which she is. She says, "But today I got a question I never expected." And I think her daughter's 8. He says, she asked, "But mommy, where's my daddy? Why don't I have a daddy?" And sadly,
Correct.
daddy rejected her, like rejected the mom,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
conception. And so now mommy's like, "I don't know how to answer." Clever ladies, you know us. No, 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 no. Tell her that, don't break her heart. Tell her that daddy really loves her, but, there's reasons why. And I said, but are we not also creating another issue when we start lying? I'm not saying tell your child that daddy rejected you. Find another tact at least to that's my belief, you can correct me. Find another tact to explain to her that we might not really have the answers, my baby, right now. I'm just here. I'm here
Yeah.
for you. One of these days we'll find out where daddy is. We'll find out why daddy is not around. But don't. The other lady says, "I even buy her gifts and say they're from daddy because you." And I was like, but when this child finds out, what happens to your dignity? What
Yeah.
happens to your honesty? How does she view you as a child?
It's a difficult one. As headlines, we use storytelling to
Okay.
convey messages as well. And so I'm going to tell you a bit about my story. I was also raised without my biological father. Thank God that my stepfather stepped up. So I did have that contact of a male in my life, and our family friends that took over my upbringing after. But I want to say that there comes a time where, as a mother, you need to break the news to your child.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, and I think I said this at the beginning of the program, if you as a mommy are not telling your child the truth about their origins, there is somebody who's going to break it to them.
And it's gonna hurt.
And when they do so, remember, it goes back to issues of trust. Now,
Mm.
truth is, there are certain things that our children may not be ready
To
to hear,
handle.
right? Now, truth can be dissected in many ways
Okay.
at the level at which the child is and can be able to break it down
But make sure it's the
and
truth.
make sure that is very important as a mother
Mm.
that you break it out as the truth. Now, the reason I'm sharing a bit of my story is that I remember that I was 9 years old when I first asked my mother about
Phew.
my father. Where did it come from? It came from the fact that somebody I stayed with had mentioned it to me in
Imagine.
passing that, oh, your father so and so. And this was the first time that I
You were
was hearing
hearing
this.
about
But I
it.
needed my own mother to confirm it. So I
Mm.
get home. Interestingly enough, that very day I saw my father. And
So you knew
unfortunately,
this person, the person was talking
I
about,
knew this
but you didn't
person
know
all
them as your
along, but yeah,
dad.
no, no. In fact, his family would really treat me well. And I just thought, I mean, I was the child in the community that was really
Yeah.
loved, So I thought it's one of those. So I see him, we greet, he asks about my mother, and I'm like, that's it. He asked about my mother.
Confirmation.
I get home, I tell him, oh, so and so said I must say hello to you. Okay. Then I felt now I'm confident to ask about the story. So I say, oh, sis, so and so told me that is my father. Oh my goodness. Yazi indlu yabhoma 10 past 4. About 10 past 4 in my life.
You.
I was 8 at the time.
Mm.
And my mom was so angry about it. And that was like the last time we spoke about it until I was 16. This
Wait,
is 8 years
wait.
later.
Was
Yeah.
she angry that you asked, or was she angry that somebody told you the news?
I think it was both.
Okay.
It was both because in her shouting, it was if people can't keep their hands on themselves,
Mm.
da da da. 8 years later, I go, but now I'm in matric at 16. I'm asking, Madam, I raised an issue 8 years ago and you didn't say anything. Again,
So it's
it
been
was
lingering in your head all
it's
these years.
and now imagine
Identity.
throughout my teenagehood,
Mm.
I was living in that space of wanting to know more about this.
Mm.
And unfortunately, it was late because after I had seen
Sure.
him, I basically saw him once as a father. And thereafter, a few years later, he passed on. But why am I telling this story, Luko? Is that as mothers, sometimes we are thinking we are protecting our children. And you are
Mm.
saying, I'll tell my child when time is right.
Then the father even dies, and you're like,
Yeah,
I've missed out
yeah,
because you're keeping your truth away from me.
correct. Because sometimes we underestimate our children's intellect and the way they perceive things.
Mm.
I don't think it would have done, okay, I might be wrong, but I don't think it would have done any significant difference if my mother had taken me into confidence to say, yes, that is your father,
Mm.
and um, whatever short story, and let
Of
it rest.
course.
But to keep me in suspense for 8 years,
And
and
in
then
the midst
again
of
at
that,
21, I raised this issue again. It was another war. So, what is this leading to? I then understood later that my mother was hurting because of all that has happened, the rejection and.
mm.
But what she didn't understand is that she was drawing me into her head without letting me share it fully with her, or at least
Mm.
taking a part of it and saying either I empathize or I sympathize and I can walk the journey with her. But instead, I just saw her wanting to keep me away from my family
And in turn, that hurt you?
a lot.
Sure.
Thank God I'm healed now because of
Yeah.
a positive, present, active father in the
Mm.
lives of my children. My
Yeah.
husband is that man that God is using to heal me greatly. And
Mm.
more so when I do this work on Father's Matter,
Mm.
daily when I talk about this program, I realize that pockets of my heart are getting healed. In
Mm.
fact, there's a module, or rather a section that we talk about in Father's Matter. It is titled Father Wounds.
Mm. Healing the father wounds.
Yeah, a lot of us are gaping
Mm.
and we can't even in marriage we can't co-parent properly because we are parenting from a point of hate.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
why we have such negative campaigns such as men are whatnot. That's
Mm.
something that I'm not willing to say
Please
with
do
my
not.
mouth.
Please do not.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
especially on this
true.
platform.
Yeah.
And so I want to plead to my sisters.
Mm.
I don't want to say I know the hate, but from my personal experience and the work I do, I want to say I have a clue of what this hate may look like.
Mm.
But do yourself a favor, my sister, and get healed.
Yeah.
Deal with it because you have a child, you have children that need to experience you as a whole mother,
Of
as a
course.
healed mother.
Mm.
And there is really no point to prove. Your children are aware of your hustle. Your
True.
children look at you and they call you blessed. It
Mm.
does not take away the fact that you are great, but at
Exactly.
the same breath, it does not make you their father.
That is so true. Now, what would you say to single moms and other female caregivers who are worried that their child is missing out on development opportunities because there is no father or a father figure in their life?
Yeah. My sister, take advantage of what we call social fathers.
Okay.
So, if it means registering, enrolling your child to some sports where there's a male figure,
Do that.
do that.
Mm.
If you have a partner, a male partner, allow them to journey with this child. Don't want to create a cubicle that they belong there or this part of your life. You know,
Mm.
like a heart has different chambers.
Yep.
Don't reserve one chamber and say, this is for me and my children alone. Now, when a
Yeah.
partner, hambelanga apha." Allow them take advantage of that relationship
Mm.
for the sake of your children as well.
Sure.
If you have a male figure in your family, if your father is there, grandfathers make great social fathers.
They do. They do.
Pastors. I want to applaud pastors. I know Pastors Appreciation Month was last month,
Mhm.
but to me, it's every day. I
Yeah.
want to appreciate our pastors. Our pastors are caring. Bajarile, bathwele mana abafundisi.
Mm.
They are fathering the communities. And I
Yeah.
think we also need to thank pastoral families
Yeah.
for allowing their fathers to carry the nations.
Sometimes bring you into the, spaces.
Correct.
Mm.
And it's a blessing. It's a blessing to have pastors that are mindful that God has brought these children in their ministry, not only just to speak the Bible, but
Mm.
take interest. Men in the church, you see this young person, they are always alone.
Mm.
Step up,
Yeah.
engage. That child might not be needing money, by the way.
Yep.
Their mother may be self sufficient financially, so. But
Mm.
there are other elements like emotionally.
Mm.
There are other areas that this young man, this young woman may not be thriving and need a male, a father figure rather, to step in and give them that confidence.
Yeah.
A father that will say, my child, you are beautiful.
Mm.
My girl, if you hear another boy saying you are beautiful, tell them I know my father told me so. I am your father.
Mm. Sure.
Yeah,
I'm really moved, and I think, like you're saying, we bless God for the people that He brings in our lives that
indeed.
really close those spaces. I was actually laughing the one time. My husband traveled a lot. One day he's out, Kia walks to. I don't know what she did. I did throw. I did kind of give her whatever with my flip flop. And, she was so angry with me. She was still crawling. She crawls to our bedroom and she stands at the door and she says, Dada, Dada.
Oh man.
Because she knows daddy
Yeah.
would. But the weird thing is that my
Ngizomcela
husband's
kudala.
stricter. Yeah, my husband's stricter. But when I do something, she knows she can always go to report.
Yeah.
Da. So, man, thank you so much, man,
On
Figi.
that point, before we
Mm,
close, something interesting about children.
mm.
Although their father may be stricter,
Okay.
that is actually the security they need.
Oh, okay.
Children thrive on structure.
Okay.
Children appreciate structure. But if just the walls are broken, ingena puma anytime, that child loses a sense of security and pride.
True.
So big ups that your children know that although their father is stricter, but they know this is the go-to when we need protection.
And I think also when they do it out of love, when they're able, like we were talking earlier
Yeah,
on, to balance that with love, to
correct.
say, I can play with you, I can love on you, I can provide for you, but I'm also not going to just allow anything to go by.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Correct.
Fikile, it's been a great episode, great start to the show, I must say. And not only because I'm saying that, but Frank Jacobs also attests to that. He says, great show.
Thank
Also got
you.
another message earlier on, but it's getting really busy here. Annette van der Merwe actually said, blessings, because she's also just watching us from our
Amen.
Facebook feed.
Amen.
So thank you so, so much. And I don't know if I'm not putting you on the spot, but I want to say also to our listeners for next week and any other week that we get to have these chats, if there is any comment, if there's any question you'd like to ask, please make sure it comes through 0826572729. Anything else you'd like to add before I let you go? I see you quickly went on your phone there.
Of course, I want to make this known that Fathers Matter have a system that we call the Fathers Matter Coach.
Okay.
So there's a father out there that says, Lukho, Fikile, I want to be involved, but I don't know where to start.
Mm,
This platform is created as a safe space where you can just send a message, ask your question, and then the Fathers Matter coach will give you few options on what to do. So it's
wow.
a WhatsApp line that you can just save the number on your phone and then send a hi, and then it will give you prompts. And
Wow.
whenever they give you advices, they will be appropriate according to the ages of children that you've registered that you are fathering.
So they literally coach you and help you navigate this fatherhood thing.
Exactly
Guys, I wasn't
that.
lying because I did say earlier on, if you're a father and you're trying to get it right, please listen up.
Yes. Can I give the number?
Yes,
It
please.
is 060
Mhm,
058
mhm.
2107.
Please repeat it.
060 058 2107.
Wow. Father's coach. Make sure you don't fumble and fumble and fumble when somebody is there to say, I can help with this. I know how you can navigate through it.
Correct.
Thank you so much, Mom Figile.
Only a pleasure.
Ah, thank you, and thank you to the behind the scenes photographer.
Yeah.
She brought her husband in, by the way. So
A
yeah,
fathering
a father,
person of mine.
a supporter. So thank you so much, and God bless until next week.
God bless you.
2024 was a year of big wins, and MTN is giving away even more wins. It's a win-win summer, and all you have to do is opt in via *142# or the MTN app. Buy 1 gig or more to win your share of 75 million rand. We are giving away 300 gigs every hour, 3,000 rand to 30 winners every day, and 10,000 rand to 30 people every week. Plus, 10 lucky winners will walk away with 300,000 rand each. So start buying those gigs, South Africa, and get those wins this win-win summer. Because when one South African wins, we all do. T's and C's apply. MTN.
Halal Africa invites you to the On Bended Knees live recording concert with gospel sensations Jacqueline Carr, Ayanda Danzi, Lebo Sechubela, Joe Metal,